it's a movie that's been 15 years in the making, from a book that was described as unfilmable. But Filth, the 1998 novel by train-spotting author Irvine Welsh, has finally made it onto the big screen. James McAvoy stars as a corrupt Edinburgh cop, losing himself in a web of murder, deceit and crippling drug addiction.
I used to be a good person.
No! You're gonna hit me, Bruce!
I think there's something seriously wrong with me.
Have you been to see a doctor?
Have you been since our last consultation? No problems, I presume. No more cocaine and chip suppers for Bruce, eh?
Well, I spoke to Irvine Welsh earlier and asked him whether the film was worth the wait.
Oh, I love it. I mean, I think it's the most satisfying adaptation of one of my books, because it's very, very close to how I imagined it, and how I imagined a cinematic rendition of that book would be.
What had to go, though, to make it filmable, in your view?
Well, I kind of always thought it was filmable. I thought in the hands of the right filmmaker, somebody that was very bold and very kind of sort of fearless, it could be a really good movie. And obviously it needed the right actor too, So James was kind of, he's a guy who didn't need to do this, and it's just paid off in spades because he's a revelation in this part.
Well, perhaps he's aware of the risk, because he said earlier this week that he thought people might walk out of the cinema. Are you worried that people might have that reaction?
People do walk out of cinemas, and I think that it will polarise. I mean, it's one of these films that, some people are really, really going to love it, and a few people are going to be freaked out by it.
Now, you've in the past described yourself as a British bad boy, but recently you've said that you've now got to watch your drug use, you've bought a horse. Are you in danger of becoming a bit respectable?
I mean, I've always been respectable. I don't understand why all these kind of stories have been going around about me.
But are you now sort of becoming a bit of an establishment figure?
I don't know about establishment, but I mean, I've kind of, I live a pretty quiet life, and I kind of, I probably, for the last 20 years, I kind of have. I mean, I got all my kind of sort of messing up out the road before I became famous, so I didn't have to kind of do it in the glare of public, basically.
But the horses and the Hollywood parties, I mean, it's a long way from Leith, isn't it? Do you ever worry that you've lost contact with your roots and that, therefore, you've somehow lost some of the inspiration that you started off with?
Yeah, I wish. I mean, every time I try and get away, I get dragged out by my mates back home, and I'm plunged right back into it. So there's not much chance of that. I mean, people tell you here very quickly if you think you've got kind of airs and graces and all that, and you just don't get away with it. So there's no point in even trying.
Well, what do your mates from Leith think about the ponies? Oh,
well, they're betting on horses all the time, so they understand very much. It's something. As soon as you get a bit of, any of these guys, they get a bit of money, they would buy a horse. There's no question about that. It's one of the first purchases they would make. They certainly understand horses. They certainly understand. That's very much part of the sort of the psychology here.
Irvine Welsh on respectability and filth.